You're in a conversation. Someone says something you disagree with. Not offensively wrong, just wrong. You feel it in your chest. That small tightening, the urge to correct them. You don't. You let it pass. You nod. You move on. Later, you tell yourself it wasn't worth the argument. That's not what happened. They tested whether you'd challenge them. You didn't. They filed you under non-threat. That categorization just cost you something you haven't noticed yet. Machiavelli watched men like this in Italian courts for 30 years. He documented 7 types of men who reveal exactly who they are in the first minute, then spend the next year using what you missed. You've met all 7. At least 3 are in your life right now. And they already know you better than you know them. By the end, you'll recognize them. The exact moments they revealed themselves, the tests you failed without knowing, and what they've been doing to you since. First type, the approval seeker. Your boy who changes his whole opinion when his girl walks in the room. Minute ago, he agreed with you about something, anything. Doesn't matter what. She shows up. Suddenly, he's saying the opposite, smiling at you like nothing happened. You just watched him fold in real time. This is the man who needs to be liked more than he needs to be right. Machiavelli watched princes like this lose entire kingdoms. Not through war, through this. Here's how you spot him in 30 seconds. Criticize something he said. Doesn't matter if you're right. Just push back. Watch what happens. If he defends his position, you're wrong about him. If he immediately adjusts, softens, finds middle ground, that's him. He just told you, social pressure moves me. Now watch what happens in your life. He tells you he's got your back on something, a plan, a decision. Doesn't matter what. Then someone else questions it. Could be his boss, his girl, his family, anyone whose opinion he values. Watch him flip. Actually, I've been thinking, maybe we should reconsider. I see their point. You thought you had an ally. You don't. You have someone who agrees with the last person who spoke to him. This man is dangerous because he makes you think you're building something together. A friendship, a business, a plan. You're not. You're building on sand that shifts based on who's watching. Corporate America is full of these men. The guy who agrees with you in the hallway, then says nothing when you present the idea in the meeting. Silent while you take the heat, nodding along with whoever's winning. Your family's got one. The relative who tells you one thing, tells them another, then acts confused when the stories don't match. Your friend group's got one. The guy who's down for whatever until his girl says otherwise. Then suddenly he's got plans. Machiavelli called this the approval trap. These men don't betray you with one big move. They erode you with 1,000 small disappearances. Here's what you do. Test him early, small thing. See if he'll hold ground under pressure. If he won't, stop building plans that require his spine. Use him for things that don't require him to choose sides. Information, introductions, surface level shit. But never, never put him in a position where you need him to stand next to you when it costs him something. Because he won't. And here's the part that's going to bother you. If you just felt defensive reading that, if you started justifying why you pick your battles or stay diplomatic, you might be him. That's fine. Just know that everyone around you already knows it, and they're positioning accordingly. The reactive escalator, the gym. Someone accidentally kicks your bag. Doesn't even notice. You stare at him for 5 seconds. Make a comment loud enough for him to hear. Now everyone's watching. You think you just defended your respect. You just showed everyone you're controllable. This is the man who turns every minor disrespect into a federal case. Someone cuts him off in traffic. He's tailgating for 3 miles. Someone forgets to include him on an email. He's sending paragraphs about professional courtesy. Someone makes a joke at his expense. He's not laughing. He's remembering. Machiavelli watched men like this destroy themselves. Not because they were weak, because they couldn't tell the difference between a threat and an annoyance. Here's how to spot him. Watch how he responds to something small, a minor slight. Could be an accident. If he lets it go, he's not this. If he escalates, if the response is way bigger than the offense, you just found him. And now you know this man is controllable through his ego. Here's what that means for you. If you're in business with him, Any competitor who figures this out will use it. They'll provoke him with something small. He'll overreact publicly, tank his own credibility while they stay calm. If you're friends with him, every gathering becomes about managing his reactions. Someone says something he doesn't like. Now the whole night's about that. You're spending your energy keeping him calm instead of enjoying yourself. If he's in your family, every holiday is a minefield. Someone makes a comment, he makes it a thing. Now everyone's taking sides over some shit that didn't matter 5 minutes ago. This man thinks he's showing strength. He's not. He's showing everyone exactly which buttons to push to make him dance. Machiavelli wrote about Cesare Borgia. When Borgia used force, it was surgical. One move, specific target, complete. Everyone else? They screamed and threatened constantly, escalated everything. Borgia outlasted them all, not because he was crueler, because he was colder. This man isn't cold, he's hot, reactive, predictable, and predictable men get used. What do? If you need to neutralize him, provoke him in a situation where his overreaction makes him look unstable. Meeting, public setting, somewhere witnesses matter. He'll destroy himself. You just provided the spark. If you need to avoid him, give him nothing to react to. No conflict, no challenge. Become boring to him. He'll find another target. And if you're reading this thinking, I don't let people disrespect me, and feeling that heat in your chest right now, you're him. Everyone around you already knows it. They're just deciding if you're useful or dangerous. The blind truster, your cousin who lends money to anyone who asks. Not small amounts, real money, based on a story, a promise, you know I'm good for it. 3 months later, he's asking you if you've seen them. They're not answering. The money's gone. He's shocked, every single time. This is the man who trusts fast based on feeling instead of evidence. Machiavelli documented this in The Prince. Giuliano de' Medici walked into a cathedral in Florence. His brother warned him, "Don't go. The Pazzi family is moving against us." Giuliano, "They're allies. We've broken bread." The Pazzi stabbed him 19 times during Mass. Your life, smaller scale, same pattern. The guy who hires people based on a good interview. No reference checks, no background verification, just a feeling. 6 months later, he's surprised they're stealing, lying, underperforming. The friend who confides in people he just met, shares plans, secrets, strategy, then acts shocked when it gets back to the wrong person. This man is dangerous to be around because his trust doesn't just expose him, it exposes you. He brings unvetted people into the circle, shares information that should be protected, creates access points that shouldn't exist. You think you're safe because you're careful? You are. He's not. And his lack of verification just gave someone access to everything you told him. Here's how to spot him. Listen to how fast he trusts new people. If he's confiding in someone he met last week, he's this man. If he's making plans with people he hasn't verified, he's this man. If he's been betrayed more than twice, he's not unlucky. He's this man. And here's what you do. Never tell him anything you can't afford to have shared. He won't betray you maliciously. He'll just mention it to someone he trusts, who mentions it to someone they trust, who happens to be your competitor, your enemy, your problem. Within a week, people you never told know things you never said out loud, and you can't even blame him. He was just being open. If you're in business with him, build verification into everything. Contracts, collateral, witnesses, enforcement mechanisms. Not because you don't trust him, because he trusts people you wouldn't. If he's in your family, never share strategy around him. Holiday plans that need to stay quiet. He's already told 3 people. One of them told the person you were trying to avoid. Machiavelli's principle: trust is not a virtue. It's a strategic risk. Sometimes worth it, sometimes not. But you can't evaluate risk if you're deciding based on how someone makes you feel. And if you just thought, I like to believe in people, or I choose to see the good in others, you might be him. That's fine. Just know that every time you trust without verifying, you're creating exposure for everyone connected to you, and they're adjusting their relationship with you accordingly. The grudge keeper. Your boy who brings up something from 3 years ago in the middle of an unrelated conversation. Not joking, not laughing, serious. You didn't even remember it happened. He remembers the date. This is the man who keeps score on everything. Every slight, every offense, every moment you didn't choose him. Machiavelli watched advisors use this pattern to destroy princes. They'd wait years, not months. Years. Then when the prince was vulnerable, exposed, weak, they'd move. And everyone would be surprised. Except Machiavelli. He saw it coming the moment the slight happened. Here's how to spot him. Listen to how he talks about people who wronged him years ago. Not recent, years. If it's still fresh in his voice, still has heat, he's this man. If he remembers details you forgot, dates you didn't know mattered, he's this man. If he says, "I'm not angry, I just remember," that's the exact sentence. He's this man. This man is dangerous because you think the issue is resolved. It's not. You apologized. He said no problem, smiled, moved on. He didn't move on. He filed it, added it to the ledger, and now he's waiting. Not for revenge in the movie sense. For the moment when settling the score costs him nothing. You're up for a promotion. He's on the committee. He remembers the comment you made 2 years ago. The one you forgot about. He didn't. You're bidding on the same contract. He's been collecting information on your mistakes for 3 years. Hasn't said a word. Now he sends it to the client the week before the decision. You need a favor. He's the only one who can help. He remembers the time you didn't help him. The time you were too busy. That was 4 years ago. You barely remember it. He remembers it perfectly. This man doesn't forgive, not really. He might say the words, he might act normal, but the ledger stays open. What do you do? If you've crossed him, don't try to reconcile. He's not interested in reconciliation. He's interested in positioning. Accept that he's a permanent factor and operate accordingly. Don't turn your back. Don't assume time healed anything. If you're working with him, never cross him in the first place. Not because he's powerful, because he's patient. If he's in your family, understand that every argument you've ever had is still active in his mind. Thanksgiving isn't a truce, it's an armistice. The war's still on. Machiavelli's observation: men who can't forgive become prisoners of their own memory. They think they're staying principled. They're staying stuck. But that doesn't make them less dangerous. It makes them predictable. You just have to remember, they're not operating in the present. They're operating from a grudge you forgot existed. And if you're reading this thinking some things you don't forgive, or people need to be held accountable, you might be him. That's between you and yourself. Just know that everyone around you is calculating. Is it worth crossing him? Because he doesn't forget. Ever. The promise breaker. Your friend who always says, "We should hang out," but never confirms plans. Not because he's busy, because words don't mean anything to him. They're tools for the current moment. Smooth things over, buy goodwill, delay confrontation, then circumstances change and the promise evaporates. This is the man whose word has no value. Machiavelli watched advisors use this to neutralize princes. Make a promise. Get the prince to act on it, then break it. Now the prince is exposed, committed to a strategy that depended on support that isn't coming. Your business partner who promises equity percentages will formalize it once we're profitable. 2 years later, you're profitable. Time to formalize. Actually, given how things evolved, different split makes more sense now. But you promised. I know, but circumstances changed. Your boy who says he'll show up confirms twice. Day of text. Something came up. Third time it happens, you stop inviting him. He acts confused. What? I said I'd come next time. He will say it next time too, and the time after. Words are just sounds to him. This man is dangerous because he makes you think you're building together. You're not. You're building alone with periodic confirmation from someone whose confirmation means nothing. Here's how to spot him. Track his promises versus his actions. Not what he says he'll do, what he actually does. If there's a pattern of "I meant to" and "I wanted to" and "something came up," he's this man. If he has reasons for every broken promise, and the reasons are always external, always someone else's fault, he's this man. What do? Never rely on his word, ever. If you need something from him, build enforcement, contracts, deposits. Witnesses. Penalties for non-delivery. Not because you're being difficult, because you know his word evaporates when circumstances change, and circumstances always change. If he's your friend, stop making plans that require his follow-through. See him when you see him. Expect nothing. If he's in business with you, everything in writing, everything confirmed, everything with consequences. And if you're reading this thinking, but I meant it when I said it, or circumstances really did change, you might be him. Here's what you're not seeing. Every broken promise is permission for others to break theirs to you. You're training people that words don't matter. They're learning, and they're applying that lesson back to you. You'll notice it when you need them, and they're suddenly unavailable, just like you were. The fortune fool. Your boy who got promoted twice and now acts like he's untouchable, talks about crushing it and leveling up, and makes plans like the money's infinite. New car, new place, new expenses, all on the assumption that this momentum is the new normal. It's not. This is the man who confuses a moment with a permanent state. Machiavelli watched princes lose everything this way, not because they were incompetent, because they built nothing for the inevitable shift. Success creates confidence. Confidence creates blind spots. Blind spots create exposure. Your cousin who's making good money right now, spending all of it, zero savings. Why would I save? I'm making more next year. Market shifts. Company downsizes. He's shocked. I don't understand. Everything was working. It was working. For the conditions that existed then. Those conditions changed. This man is dangerous to partner with because when his fortune shifts, and it always shifts, he has zero reserves. He goes from winning to desperate in 60 days. Now his desperation is your problem. He's asking for loans, for support, for you to cover what he should have covered himself. Here's how to spot him. Watch how he acts when he's winning. Is he building reserves, or is he spending like the win is permanent? If he's upgrading his lifestyle every time his income increases, he's this man. If he talks about his success like it's a permanent identity instead of a temporary condition, he's this man. What do you do? If you're in business with him, never depend on his stability. He doesn't have any. He has momentum. The moment that stops, he collapses. If he's in your family, don't let him drag you into his financial decisions. When he's flying high, he'll make it look easy. When he crashes, he'll make it your problem. If he's your friend, enjoy the good times, but don't assume they last. Build your own reserves. Machiavelli's observation. Fortune is a river. Sometimes it flows with you, sometimes against you. The wise man builds dams during the flow. The fool enjoys the flow and drowns when it reverses. This man never builds dams, and when the river turns, he goes under. You can try to save him, or you can let him learn, but you can't make him prepare when he's convinced preparation is unnecessary. The imitator. Your boy who read one book and now applies it to everything. The book says do X, so I'm doing X. Doesn't matter if your situation matches the book's situation. He's following the playbook. This is the man who imitates instead of thinks. Machiavelli watched minor princes try to copy Cesare Borgia. Borgia used brutal force in specific contexts with specific goals. Worked perfectly for him. The princes copied the brutality, not the context, not the calculation, just the surface move. They failed. Publicly. Your friend who copies what successful people do without understanding why it worked for them? Successful guy wakes up at 5 a.m. Your friend starts waking up at 5 a.m. Doesn't matter that successful guy had specific reasons tied to his specific situation. 6 months later, your friend's exhausted, not more successful. I don't get it. I'm doing what he did. You're doing what he did in a context that doesn't match, so it's not working. This man is dangerous because he makes every mistake look strategic. He's following best practices, doing what works. It's not working, but he's convinced he just needs to try harder. If you're partnered with him, his strategies are always one trend behind. By the time he learns what works somewhere else, the context that made it work has shifted. Here's how to spot him. Listen to where his ideas come from. Does he analyze his situation fresh? Or does he import solutions from books, podcasts, people he admires? If his answer to every problem starts with, I read about this guy who, he's this man, what do? Don't follow his lead. He's not leading, he's copying. If you need to work with him, make decisions independently. Let him follow his playbooks. You analyze your actual situation. If he's your friend, don't let his borrowed strategies influence your decisions. He's not being strategic, he's being derivative. Machiavelli's principle: imitating great men is fine. Imitating their tactics without their context is suicide. The general who wins through aggression has different resources, different enemies, different terrain than you. You copy his aggression without his context, you don't become him. You become a cautionary tale, the approval seeker, the reactive escalator, the blind truster, the grudge keeper, the promise breaker, the fortune fool, the imitator. Machiavelli documented these 500 years ago. They're in your life right now. Your boy who agrees with everyone, your cousin who escalates everything, your friend who trusts too fast, your relative who's still angry about something from 2019, your business partner whose word means nothing, your coworker who's spending like he's untouchable, your friend who copies every guru's playbook. You've seen all seven. The question is, have you been positioning around them? Or have you been treating them like there's something they're not? Because they're not changing. These patterns are mechanical, predictable. Your move is simple. See them clearly. Stop expecting them to be different. Position accordingly. Machiavelli's gift wasn't cynicism, it was clarity. The ability to see men as they are, not as you wish they were. That clarity is what separates princes who survive from princes who fall. You now have it. What you do with it is the only thing that matters.